All right. I believe that most of you are here today because at some point in your life, you've noticed a shortcoming in your own or someone's presentation skills. So did I. So did I. So I intend to try to improve that today. But who am I, you might ask? I've been a member of UB Toastmasters Club for nearly a year now. Toastmasters is an international organization that has 15,000 clubs in 140 countries worldwide. And I believe the two pillars of a Toastmasters meeting are public speaking and self-development, especially leadership skills. And we conduct meetings on a weekly basis and we do speeches. So, with that, I'm confident that I have some expertise that are worth sharing. Right. So, let's try to shed some light onto the problem. I observed that the majority of the people default to the worst possible way to present. That is, to have a slide full of text, right, black and white, and read from their mobile devices or from their slides like a news reporter. The kind of news reporter like Trisha Takanawa from Family Guy.
Quahog Hospital, where accused kidnappers Lois and Peter Griffin have just arrived. Also arriving is my overprotective boyfriend, who is suspicious whenever I am called into work at night, even though I've been a reporter for years, Tyrone.
So point made. Agree? Point made. So, a lot of people think it's all about the language fluency. It's because he or she speaks English better than me. But it's insane. Just look at quick-witted, very good conversationalists perform terribly because what? They have a remote controller in their hand, a bunch of stuff on the screen, and standing in front of people. So, it's not all about language fluency. In fact, two people can have the exact same language scores, and one could be terrible and the other terrific. And there are only a handful of things that they do differently to stand out. So, I ain't gonna talk some flimsy shit today. I'm gonna give you guys a handful of practical things. So, here's number one. And number one tops all of them. Without this, the rest doesn't matter. So, before you walk out there in front of people, figure out your why. Why are you standing there? Why have you decided to pour words out of your mouth? Oh, it's because teacher said so. No! It's because I have this assignment. No! Oh man, I don't really give a fuck. No, no, no. And let me answer that for you. It's because you have a valuable information to share and you want every single goddamn person in the room to hear it well. That's why. You know, you're standing there, you're taking your time, you're taking everybody's time, and if you don't care to deliver to the best of your abilities, then you're wasting your time and you're wasting everybody's time. Don't even bother coming up. I mean, why should any of those people have to hear your rambling about? So, do care to deliver to the best of your abilities and don't be apathetic. I mean, you don't even have to like the content. You may disagree with the slides, but as the speaker, you have the responsibility to speak with conviction So that's number one. Number two, don't start before you're given complete attention of the crowd. If someone interrupts you whilst in a conversation, do keep on. Finish the sentence. That's the conventional wisdom for conversation. Well, now for this one. People think that once they start speaking, people will settle down. They don't. And besides, as the speaker, you are entitled to utter silence. Don't disrespect yourself. Don't downgrade yourself. Number three, it's your voice. Now, some people naturally have a quiet voice. It's the way they talk and the way they function on a day-to-day basis. Well, guess what? Public speaking and presenting, they're not your everyday ordeal. It's an act that requires a higher level of functioning. And I want you to keep this in mind the next time you're standing in front of a class or a hall. You must speak in a way that the person sitting at the back end of the class can hear you without any trouble. Not just that, not just hear you. That person must not miss a word, not a single word, because you were inaudible. You know, if you know yourself to have a quiet voice, then you already know how loud that's gonna be. Then strive for that. Imagine politicians that debate. Imagine event hosts. Imagine pastors at churches. Imagine actors and actresses. Now you have an image to pursue. Speaking of actors and actresses, one practical technique I could suggest to you is this. Take a deep breath and speak from your abdomen. One thing that voice coaches and directors say to singers and actors is this. Don't sing from here. Sing from here. Not from your heart, from your chest, from your lungs. So, diaphragm is a part of you. It's a membrane that sits below your lungs and on top of your intestines. As you inhale, the diaphragm is put under tension. It goes down. And as you exhale, the diaphragm goes back to its natural resting position. So the next time you're standing in front of people, remember to take a deep breath and try to feel your diaphragm. It's right here. Or if you can't feel it, envision it. And as you speak, imagine the diaphragm pushing upwards, pushing the air out of your lungs. Number 4, the strategic use of pauses. Remember what I said about speaking like an Asian reporter? Well, keep this in mind. Your audience needs a moment to mentally digest what you've just said. In fact, the room, the atmosphere, and the buzzing little mosquitoes, they need a moment of silence. Now, when people start out, they feel weird, especially those people who are not accustomed to standing silences during a conversation. Well, and they call it awkward. Well, here are 3 ways it doesn't have to be awkward. Number 1, the thinking pause. As opposed to appearing completely lost in silence, it actually shows your audience that you're mentally processing the facts. And as a result, they now know that your words will have more weight and thought to it. It gives you credibility. Number 2, the rhetorical question pause. After you presented a rhetorical question, actually stare dead into their eyes in silence, like a mafia boss expecting an answer. Again, this one especially gives your audience time to mentally process the information and let the ideas play in their minds. Number 3, I like to give things some quirky names. I like to call this the groundbreaking fact pause. And this one is especially relevant to statistics and numbers. For example, hear this. As a result of human wrongdoing to the environment for the last decade, a total of 96 species of animals have gone extinct. 96! See what I did there? That's effective. Speaking of statistics, statistics are great, all right? It gives you credibility and it solidifies your content. But I mean, they're boring. More than 4, 5, 6, 7 digits? Human brain was not designed to process numbers and digits. However, they are good with images. So, animate the numbers. I checked the recent death toll due to the pandemic, and it was something like 6.78 million. So, you can either say it like this. As a result of the pandemic, a total of 6,700,072,500 people have died. But that number doesn't mean anything to the people. Instead, you can also say it like this. As a result of the pandemic, a total number of people equal to 2 times the population of Mongolia has died. Now it has more weight. Now people have personal feeling towards that number. All right, let's recapture what I've said so far. Number 1, what's lesson number 1? The most important lesson. Figure out your why. Without this, the rest doesn't matter. Number 2, before you start, don't start before you're given complete attention of the crowd. You are entitled to utter silence. Number 3 is voice, and you must speak in a way that the person sitting at the back end room can hear you without trouble. Number 4, what's number 4? The strategic use of pauses. There are 3 types of pauses. Who can name me the first one? First one, the thinking pause. Second one, the rhetorical question pause. Third one, my favorite one, the quirky name. Does anyone remember? Exactly. The groundbreaking fact pause. And as an extension, statistics. Animate your numbers because people don't understand numbers. All right. Speaking of complete silence from the crowd, number 5 is dealing with a difficult audience. The audience we deal with here at school is a piece of cake because everyone is expected to be quiet and pay attention. Everyone is expected to oblige. However, in a different scenario, maybe once you're in the workforce, things may not be such hassle-free. Sometimes you might even have to forcefully grab attention Stand on top of a table, shout, hey everyone, I've got some stuff to say. But hopefully, let's hope that it doesn't come to that. Let's imagine we have a normal crowd. But there's something off about it. There's a baby crying back there. There are a bunch of teenagers giggling over their phones, looking at memes. And there are these two dudes sitting in the front line, talking so passionately about the inflation rate or the dinner last week, whatever. So, in this situation, there are two ways to approach. You can either go silent or you can go loud. The silent approach is this. You stand in the middle of the stage at the highest spot possible, where there's most light and where you're visible to everyone. You direct your attention to the crowd, and then there's something gravitational about the person standing in the front, despite all the ruckus in the crowd. Number two is the loud approach. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to shout to get attention or to do that little thing with a glass in a dinner party. You can start by telling a story or a joke, and you can purposefully raise your voice on the first line. I was once bitten by a poodle. In fact, the poodle was so mean that I had to go to the hospital. So, it was a Sunday morning and I was cooking breakfast, and here's what had happened. And then you go back to your normal voice. All right, number six. Number six is always speak in threes. On YouTube, I see these ridiculous videos. 20 school hacks. 15 ways to improve productivity. 50 editing tips. Oh my God. A scientific research was conducted that human brain is not capable of memorizing and retaining more than a handful of facts. 3, to be more specific. A week from now on, and you guys won't even remember 90% of the things discussed here. But we try anyways, don't we? So back to threes. 3, there's just something magical about number 3. It's like the golden ratio. There's just something appealing to the mind about 3. Oh, by the way, who can tell me the golden ratio? It's a naturally occurring ratio. Does anyone know the golden ratio? I believe it was something like 1.7 or 6. So if it's a naturally occurring and appealing face, it's like 1 over 1.6 or 7. That's the golden ratio. And in nature, you can find a lot of these ratios, and a lot of the famous paintings and buildings were done with this ratio. So to this day, for some magical reason, it's still prevalent. It's still beautiful. So if you're presenting a short speech in the ranges of 3 to 7 minutes, then pick 3 points. No more. No more. However, if it's a longer speech, like a lecture, then I'm sure you have a lot more to talk about. In this case, put those points within 3 themes or phases, and make sure the transition between those themes are clear to the audience. Now, the audience may not remember the 15, 20 points you've made, but it's almost guaranteed that they will remember at least one thing from each theme. Number 7, acting. Acting. You know, I'd like to use the spring metaphor for a lot of things. In order to bend a spring, you have to push it beyond the desired position. What do I mean by this? People are a lot like springs. They're jumpy, twitchy, fidgety. And when you tell people to do stuff, they don't just do it, do they? Someone always has to raise his voice. Someone always has to go overboard. And daddy always has to put the foot down, right? So the same goes for effective public speaking. And I believe that public speaking is a bit like acting. Well, not entirely, of course, but they do share some fundamental principles. Keep your posture upright and orate with a clear voice, and so on. So, only by doing a bit excessively in practice can you perform at the desired level of expressiveness, grandiosity in real life. All right, that was point number 7. Let's recapture from the top. What's number 1? What's the most important thing about speech, about presenting? Exactly. Figure out your why. Number 2, don't start before you're given complete attention of the crowd. Don't be hasty. Number 3, your voice. You must speak in a way that the person sitting at the back end can hear you without trouble. Number 4, what's number 4? The strategic use of pauses. And there are 3 of them. First, the thinking pause. Second, the rhetorical question pause, correct. And third one, the groundbreaking fact pause. And as an extension to the third one, statistics. Animate your numbers because people don't understand numbers. Number 5, managing a difficult audience. There are 2 ways to approach. You can either go silent or you can go loud. Number 6, always speak in 3s. Remember, 3 is the magic number. And number 7, what's number 7? Number 7 is act it out, right? Do it a little extra so that you may perform very well on stage. So that basically concludes my today's lecture, and I'm leaving the rest of the time open for questions and discussions.